Okay, I'm going to do a shop update here, and why I'm standing in front of the drill press is because I have a video that I need to get together and post for you guys on this drill press. As you can see, it's still not complete, but I've kind of made some decisions on color and what I'm going to be doing with it. So that will be forthcoming. So I just kind of want to include that into the shop update by kind of showing myself standing in front of it. One of the things I'm going to be talking about in the shop is the update is Bandsaw. I'm going to show you some stuff that I'm thinking about for the lead-in lead-off tables and some of the issues that I've got to deal with that. I'm also going to talk about that American lathe that I got and needs to be restored. Also going to be talking about a rack that I have for that I think I'm going to be utilizing for wood storage to kind of get that mess that's piled up against the wall cleaned up and sorted out so that you can have or know where certain things are sorted out by wood sizes, 2x4s, 2x6s, etc., etc. Just so that we kind of got a better place for it and kind of utilize this rack that I have, this A-frame rack that I have in the shop that isn't really being used for anything right now. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that last week I made a trip to Chicago. I probably had mentioned that in a video, and what I'm going to do is throw a clip of the car. It was for a car. I went and got a classic car for a guy. Actually, the guy went with me, but and that's another story. So just a one-day trip, but I'm gonna throw a shot of that car in probably right now. And so here I am, double parked outside a restoration shop on the streets of Chicago. Had just gotten the car loaded on the trailer and ready to leave, and we're back. So the other thing that I've got going on is I'm probably going to make another trip this weekend. It won't be with using the trailer, it's just the pickup truck. I've done a haul for a guy before. Have to go down to Long Island and pick up shelving for him. Now it's a lot of the shelving is the shelving itself is glass, so there's a lot of glass included in the packaging, so that's kind of why he gets it. And then he also bought something down near Philadelphia, and he wants me to kind of shoot over there, pick that up, and bring it all back for him at the same time. So that will be happening this week too, but again, it'll be just a day trip like Chicago was. So I'll bring you back, and when we come back, it'll be probably the bandsaw issue, or it's not really issue, just the bandsaw explanation will be first, and then it will lead into the other things that I discussed. This is a couple sketches that I made of the bandsaw table, kind of the bandsaw, the lead-in and lead-off table, just the basic rough dimensions on them. And then what I did is I came over here to a notebook that I keep for sketches to build stuff and material lists that I or lengths that I come up with. So here is the lead-in table material that I'm going to need for it, and there is the lead-off table and the material that I'm going to need for it. But one of the things that complicate the lead-off table is there is a stop to on the bandsaw that can be used to, if you've got multiple cuts to make for the same length, there's a stop for it. And let me take you over there and show it to you. and it's going to kind of affect how the lead-off table is built. But I'll take you over there. So we're over to the bandsaw, and this is what I'm talking about. Here is that stop that you can adjust to have if you're making multiple cuts at the same length. So even though the rod is below the table, I've still got to compensate for being able to maybe remove a section of the tabletop to bring this thing up to be able to use it. So it's just kind of something that I've got to work out. I also just temporarily put that pan back on. Now that's the oil or coolant catch pan. I just temporarily put that back on because the other thing that the lead-off table is going to involve is being designed around that tray so that the support legs and everything get around the tray, but yet the table butts up or comes close to butting up to the tabletop of the bandsaw. So just a couple of things that I'm working on, working out and working on. Gonna make a material list up and probably go down to my metal supply house and pick up that material. But I'll bring you back. This is that American lathe, and a couple of viewers have been asking about this. I've got to, this winter, I'm gonna get back started on this. By the time that I get started on this, I'm hopefully gonna have the bandsaw and drill press taken care of. So I am going to start on this winter and be working on this. I've got this, and there's some pieces over here sitting on the surface plate, and then I've got pieces in a drawer in a box. And then I have one other thing over in another part of the shop. Let me bring you back when I get over there. We're over here the back side of the shop, and what I've got over here on it, one of the tables, is the tailstock for that American drill press. So I cleaned that up and painted it, and that's got to go back on, get put back together and go back on also. So just another part to it. Other thing I kind of wanted to show you is, you see this A-frame rack here. I was given these racks. There was a whole bunch of them. I have one of them that I use for my kind of metal, a smaller one that I use for the metal, but I have this one sitting here, and originally I was going to cut it up and just use pieces that save some pieces, like the angle iron, that rod. That rod is a solid stock rod threaded at the end. If anybody's interested, that's what we used to do before they came out with all thread rod, cheap all thread rod, is we would get bar stock and just thread the ends for hangers for fire protection pipe. So you would cut the rod to length and then thread the ends, both ends, one end for the attachment to the steel or concrete, and the other end which would attach to the hanger ring. But anyways, I regress. I have this A-frame rack here, and I have all of that wood back there that's leaning up against the wall. What I was thinking about doing is taking this A-frame rack, because I have wood in the shop that I keep around here, but my grandson actually has a lot of wood for his work that he kind of brings in and kind of leaves in the shop until he needs it. So what I was thinking about doing is, I have this gantry crane here, and as you can see, one end of it is overhung, so, and I built it that way so the trolley could roll out to the end of it, and like if you wanted to, you had this like straddling a car or something, you could, and you were taking the engine out of it, you could pick it up or pick it out of the car and then trolley it out to the end outside of the gantry crane and do it out, lower it, or maybe secure it to an engine hoist or something outside of the gantry crane. But anyways, again, I regress. I have this area over here where this toolbox is, and what I was kind of thinking is turning this gantry crane, that stand wouldn't work here because of the overhang of the gantry crane. But if I turn the gantry crane around and overhung it on the other side, and then took this toolbox and relocated it, I could probably put that A-frame rack over here. This is like a woodworking bench back here. This kind of being my chop saw is gone right now, but woodworking area kind of back here where pieces of wood get cut up. So I was thinking about putting it over here, moving that toolbox over to in the center of the shop over by my workbench. So that's another thing that I've got going. So I'm probably gonna take care of that sometime this winter too, and get all of this wood that's piled up against the wall kind of separated into that A-frame rack, and that A-frame rack happens to be open on the ends, so you could actually slide plywood in. If you have plywood, you could slide it in the center of it too. So just another thing for the shop update.